Welcome back everyone. Today's video we're going to talk about the floods that I've got in the back of my property. You probably see right behind me. So we'll talk a little bit about that and also talk a little bit about how I'm actually catching my water and stopping it from going down into these creek systems which end up overflowing the river systems and cause floods. So let's turn the camera around because obviously don't want to be looking at me. We'll look at what's going on around the property and my water harvesting techniques. So this is the back of the property, and as you can see it's all flooded. In there is my creek. I'll just get out of the sunlight here. In there's actually my creek, which ends up being around about here somewhere. It's actually a fence there that you can see going across there, which blocks off the creek to the other side of my bush property across there. So basically at the moment it's not running, but it is falling. It's actually the river level rising, and it raised and peaked probably around about 2 or 3, 4 hours ago. So since then it's slowly going down. So this is basically the backflow of the river that's causing the flood. Luckily it's not going up the paddock towards the house, which it has been down there before, and it's only down here. It would have been up a bit higher, probably closer to this fence here, fence post should I say. So anyway, basically everyone's water from all their drains is going into the creeks, filling up the river, and the river system can't get it out to sea fast enough, so it backflows into all the creeks, and that's why you got still water and not moving water. Once that starts moving, it's obviously at the level where the creeks are a little bit higher than the river, and it will start flowing. And when it flows really quickly. Probably flows, I don't know about knots and stuff, but I'll be saying like a running pace. Not the best technical word, but anyway. So basically what I've been doing is I've been catching all my water up there on this side of the block anyway. So at least 2/3 of the property I've been catching the water and soaking it into the ground. What's actually happened is I've reopened a creek, like a spring in the creek, so I've got water in there again. So that tells me I'm winning after a year. I've got the water level of the groundwater level up to around about here. If I dig a hole, this is most like the lowest part of my property, but if I dig a hole anywhere around here, it just fills straight up with water, and that was before the creek was doing backflowing. So the creek and the backflow will help the banks, but obviously won't penetrate into the ground. I need to get a swale in here, which I've marked out already when I had the water level going. So I need a swale down here straight across the paddock to stop anything going into the creek and soaking into my water table, which I've already risen, but it can lower obviously. So it all comes down from the swale systems, as you've seen from the previous videos. So we'll go for a bit of a walk. It's benefiting the neighbours because obviously it's going to flow down there when we get up a bit closer so you can see it, but it's because it's so close to the neighbour's property, it's actually going to benefit them with the water table as well. That dam just there, let's see if I can just zoom in on it. Not the best picture, but that dam didn't hold water. It is now filling up with water because I'm filling the water table up, and it's down in the low section of it. So when I finish my mission of rehydrating my land, then it's going to work well. Now I can hear people mowing their lawns, and I can't mow my lawns because you can probably hear it under my ground, with my foot. It's all soggy, I just get bogged. But other people that aren't penetrating this water into the ground, well, they're able to mow it because the water's just shredding straight across their landscape into them creeks and basically causing floods. While I'm here, I want to tell you about this hay when I was slashing the paddock as well. Something I forgot to tell you is on the last video. When I was slashing all these weeds and stuff, there was manure as well in there. Probably not the best example because I didn't hit that one, but a lot of them spread out. So I've got the manure, I've got the hay, and luckily I've had the rain as well. So therefore, basically I'm making my own compost in the paddock. Now, this paddock is never had synthetic fertilizer on the paddock, so it's all been the manure from the cattle I used to have and the horses at the moment, and that's what's causing it. It's not the best grass in the world. Neighbours do use fertilizer over there, they've actually resown it to have better grass. Anyway, so we'll get back up to the swales. I still want to jump this fence. We're at the back swale at the moment, so some of it comes through here where it's all soggy through the fence. That's the end of the row of the swale system at the moment. Try to build more in the paddock, and the other half of it comes down at the level seal, which you would have seen in other videos, which is just over there. Anyway, I'll jump this fence so I can get over it. Alright, jumped over the fence. Now, a horse likes this banana tree, so unfortunately, they trim these banana trees along here, so it's not as nice as I would like it to be. And we'll go down to this level seal here. I pulled some weeds out while it was raining, went through the system, made sure it wasn't actually all flowing as it's meant to. Now, this is the bottom swale. We normally go the other way around, but we'll start at the bottom. So this is the bottom swale. It goes around there and into the paddock. Diverted the water that used to come across here and used to go into the neighbour's paddock. It used to miss his dam that never had water in it and then go straight down into the creek over there. I've diverted all that water, and all that water now goes straight into my property, into this paddock. This paddock here is the one where the water table's up and the grass is a lot greener than the other side. That's only a third of the water, probably a third to 2/3 of the water coming up from the top of the property and coming down into the swale system and into the paddock. So once I finish the other side, which a fair bit of water comes down there as well, that will come down into another swale somewhere down that way, hold that water, overflow into another swale, which will probably be in middle, which will probably go the whole line of the paddock. One day I will have a dam probably in that lower section. Hopefully it comes up around here, and it'll be really nice to get that water element up from the house. At the moment with the floods, you can see that water a lot better than what you can see here anyway, and yeah, it's really good. It's a nice view. It's good to have a water element, be able to see water. So as you can see from this one here, it overflows down here. So remember, we're going backwards, so that one's full and overflowing, which it stopped overflowing now. It's just sort of sinking into the ground. The rain stopped. It hasn't actually rained probably for about a day. So that's the swale system there. Yes, a lot of sweet potato, but I use it as a ground cover and it works quite well. I fed the chickens this time too, so I don't have all that chicken noise that a few of you, or well, not a few, maybe one or two were complaining that the rooster was so annoying, but it's rural. We have roosters. So that's the next swale. As you can see, it fills up. This one needs a bit of a weed, and fills up and goes into it. So it goes into from that one to that one to that one. I'm not going to do that like I normally do in my videos. I sound like a bit of a dill. Still needs to be cleaned up around here. I've been having other projects from up the top, as you know. This video is more because it started flooding and I really wanted to tell you guys what it's all about. So all this water is just over 12 months old now. It's been soaking into these swales, and it is definitely going in. I can see the green patches and stuff like that. We've had good rainfall, don't get me wrong, but we do get droughts, and we've had droughts before, and I've had a spring over there in the dam, and that had enough water in there that I was able to just leave that water in there, even though the creek system wasn't going, I still had water in mine. That's how I know I had a spring there. And that was enough for the cattle. So I stopped pumping water from down there up to the house. It's probably about 10, 15 years ago. And that's when I went into aquaponics, because I wanted to save the water for the cattle. Since then, without a drought, that spring down there has actually ran dry. It's not flowing anymore. I thought maybe it was from the floods leaving like settlement in the actual spring and blocking it up. But the more I thought about it, I thought, well, I think it's the groundwater table, like the water level in the groundwater has gone down. Neighbour's got a bore, they pump out of it. I know there's bores other places. I thought about getting a bore myself, but I decided to go with a dam instead. Mainly because the neighbour told me the bore was very salty, and he irrigated his paddocks quite often, and he reckons he'll turn it green, but the grass wouldn't actually really grow. And that's with him planting different grass seeds to be more tolerant with the Queensland weather we get. You know, I keep walking or talking, and yeah, so yeah, since I've been doing this, I've got the actual spring going again. So it is working. Take me a bit over 12 months to confirm to you guys and educate. Well, don't use the word educate very much, but I'm using that because it is working, and it's definitely worth thinking about. With the actual rain we had down here with this, I had to dig into this. As you can see, it's quite fresh, to dig into it because there's too much water coming down for it to steadily going down to the swale system, because it did come down quite heavily. So I've gone through here and made sure it ended up, it used to go, some go down that way, some go down this way. So what I've done is made the main path go into that swale and then overflow into the next, just to keep the water from rising too much and heading out that way. Anyway, we'll keep going up the opposite way that I normally go. And you can see here where the swales are there. I should have done when it was really running, but it was dark and I was wet and had a shovel and picking weeds out, making sure it's all going the right way. So as it's flowing down here, it hits like a little bit of a speed bump and then directs all the water down where them weeds are. That's like a more of a mini swale system, and that's going all the way up. And then as that fills up, it will flow down to the next swale. I'll show you that as we go up here. And I walked through it, and you can still see where it goes up there. It's a little bit of a hill, which is kind of what I want. As long as the water gets up there when it doesn't have much water, you can see, stand on this. There's still water in here. It's sitting there soaking into the ground, soaking into these spots that need a good weeding. We'll go up here. Another pumpkin, a few pumpkins. I picked one the other day too, which was good. Always something to pick. You can see some of the speed of the water because you can see the sand that's brought up with it. Now this is the opposite side where we are now. Two of the main harvesting systems. One goes from where it goes into the pond systems and down, and then the other one goes behind where we're doing all the construction work at the moment, and then not as much will go down later on, but it comes down here as well. So it feeds into this intersection here, which it naturally went through, but it's trying to find its least path of resistance. So I helped it to go to where I wanted it to go, away from the fence line, away from next door's paddock. And so it's coming down here, and that's one intersection. That's a bit higher here. Look at this side. A little bit higher here because this is actually filling up this swale system here before it overflows into that and feeds the next and feeds the next and feeds the next. As you can see, from 1 year on, a bit over 1 year on, if you can see that my old video when I first started, I didn't have any of the plants or anything in there, so it's all going pretty good. Now I do get a bit of frost damage with the bananas, but in return, it's actually helping, though I'm not getting bananas because it gets frost damage. It's not going to happen every year, but the frost is actually sheltering the other trees. And like that mango, for example, is like 18 years old, never got a fruit off it, and this year with the bananas going over the top of it, and they've had to regrow, the frost damage happened to the bananas and not so much the tree. So now it's actually at a decent size where if it does get a bit of frost, it's just going to, you know, frost a little bit at the top and not actually hurt the harvest. No one wants to wait 18 years. This one here, it's a star fruit. I'm hoping I'll get fruit off it next year, but it was around about this high. It's grown that much, so way over my head now. Probably have to see, it's got a bit of branching coming out, which is good. And here, so I'll keep an eye on it. I might just have to nip it at the top, and when I do that, I'll use that and make a propagation of that tree. So anyway, you've seen the mango trees. Let's walk up. It's a bit of a mess. So I've been busy doing all different sorts of stuff and probably got too much on the go. As some of you know, I'm not well these days, so things take a lot longer than normal, but I won't go into that. It's not actually flowing at the moment through its flow hole. So this is where I store the water. I've said in other videos, the main reason I've got these, they used to be holes and they used to sink into the ground. They worked really well. But sometimes we don't get enough rain, so I'm holding these bodies of water now, this one and the next one, in these tubs, and therefore when it does rain, these are already full, so it's just going to start overflowing instead of filling up a huge hole, and that's beneficial as well for the insects. I'm like seeing insects I've never seen before, like heaps of dragonflies and stuff like that. I'm not seeing a lot of mosquito larvae or anything like that, so the dragonflies are obviously eating them, so that's good. And giving all the insects somewhere to drink, and bird life. I've seen even cockatoos drinking out of this one here. I tried to run down and take a bit of footage of it, but it flew away. I scared it, unfortunately. Anyway, you kind of know this way, but we'll just quickly go up it anyway. So it basically flows down into there, over here underneath the grass, where this overflows, goes across to become like a level seal. That slows the water down and becomes a big stream across there, sheeting over into the next swale system, and that swale system goes that way, so it doesn't flood too much down this area here. Because when I originally designed it as a food forest, I didn't have swale systems in it, and I found a lot of had a lot of wood chips, and I found a lot of plants did not like wet feet. So anyway, I changed that around. And you see here, you can see this is the first one that comes through, and it is actually flowing. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let's get that leaf out of the way. It is actually flowing because even though it hasn't rained, it's still penetrating down over this catchment area and going into this pond, but not flowing a lot. Now, I was going to trim this tree, and I probably should have, because unfortunately it's cracked on the way to the fruit. So my mistake. If you think that you're going to get a ripper crop of something, if you think there's too much weight on it, best off sacrificing some of your fruit. But anyway, the rest of the tree's there, and kind of this one was kind of in the way. So anyway, I'll try to pin it back up, see if it re-heals itself, but it probably won't. Aquaponics is basically a system what I'm actually doing, but I'm manipulating the water to go where I want it to go to and back down. The only difference is the aquaponics gets it from the bottom, brings it back up to the top. So I'm storing it into the ground, and as you can hear, I'm pretty soggy. No mowing for me. Other people are mowing, but so soggy there. So this is just a path from anything that's coming up from the greenhouse way can come down and enter that system there. I'll just get rid of the mud off my feet. Anyway, so it all comes down from this system here. So this is basically where all the water drains down from that side of the house, the main catchment area, to stop corrosion. It comes through here, It's got that mesh there with a few weeds. It's like a steel mesh with a few weeds and stuff there, and it builds up a bit of dirt, and that makes its own like little dam, and then slows the water down in there, enough for him to hold it behind. It comes through here, goes around the corner. It's collected a bit of dirt. This is because of all the excavation work I've been doing up the top, so I've got a lot of dirt in the system at the moment, which is normally not that bad, but I'll just have to clean out as I go. Goes across here, becomes a level seal. As you can see right now, it's a level seal. Anything that goes higher than that bit, which is from there to there, level seal, will flow across, and the reason why I've got it a bit wide is just to slow it down again. So this will end up going like this, that way. Some will penetrate into the ground, some will hit that gutter system, the rest of it will naturally flow down there. If it doesn't, I'll sort of dig it out. I'm going to landscape all this one day, and then from there it goes to the next one. As I said, I won't go back over that. Oop, I don't go for a 6er, it's so wet. Like I said, I won't be mowing lawn. So it hits up at the gutter system. You know this, but I'm going to keep showing you because it does look a bit ugly, but it works quite well. Basically, once I reroute all that, that's the pipes I want to put underground, get electricity over to the new greenhouse. But that's from the last video, you'll see that. You'll see the update of after all the earthworks get done in a couple of days, hopefully, if all works out. So it comes through here, filters through the rocks, goes down this makeshift gutter system into the pod. We'll go around this way because then I can show you what it does at the back. Goes into the pod, hits the pod, stores me 1,000 litres of water, and at the moment probably a bit of dirt, but anyway, overflows from the pod. The reason why it's so ugly is not for any real reason. The main reason is that it's used to be a filtration system for an aquaponic system. So these levers here, hopefully one day I can get some more pods if I can afford them, and then I can put these maybe underground or something, and then they can go into a series of pods. So therefore I can store hopefully like 5 or 10 pods, 1,000 litres each, from the excess of this water coming through. And then from there, when it's dry, I can use them 5 or 10 pods to dump like 1,000 litres of water straight into the swale system from up there, from behind there, and then it will just run straight through. So we're dry, I've still got the water to stored in there to go in the wet season, and then just obviously have a tap there which is already there. It'll only be from the top half, so I still leave the 3/4 of the bottom, and then anything that comes from here I can have the tap, and I can regulate it whether I want it to go down the swale system or whether I want it to go into my storage system. Anyway, that's for another video. As you can see, it's still moving very slowly. And that's just the gutter system, which I'll probably put underground at some stage, but anyway, at the moment it's stopping the corrosion. So we go down here, have a look at what's going on here. So you can't really see too much over there because of the weeds and that, but it's actually going like that at the moment. We're going this way and then that way and then back that way, but eventually I like to make the whole gutter system just right beside the greenhouse there. But in a way, it's zigzagging, it slows it down, but I'll probably just put rocks there to slow it down, and 2 trees need to come out. So from here it comes down here, so any excess from up there is coming down here. This is just a drain for anything that's coming down the hill that's going too fast to go into this drain system, and a lot of it was because it was clogged up. So I unclogged that, make it bigger, and then just make it like a gentle slope, so if it clogs up from weeds it's fine. But anyway, so it comes up from the top, comes down here and goes down there, and that's just to stop anything that wants to head that way to go back down this way. And what I did play around with, which it's all blocked up at the moment, is I was trying to do like a ramp, what they used to have in America. Basically they had like a on their highways, they had a ramp, which is all filled up at the moment. Anyway, yeah, so basically they had on their highways in the olden days, back when they had, you know, bad brakes and stuff, and trucks all going really fast, and if they lost their brakes going down somewhere on a highway, they'd have little ramps that went uphill. So it went uphill and it slowed them down to the state where they'll slow, and then they could stop and repair their brakes or whatever they need to do. They don't have that, to my knowledge, in Australia. They might have, but anyway, Americans done it, which is a really good idea. So I decided to try to do the same thing with my water system. And anyway, obviously it didn't quite work because it's all filled up and I didn't maintain it. But the idea was the water's coming down here too fast, down that little gutter system there. If it's going down too fast, it hits a V, and then half the water can go up top, and then slow it down and slow the amount of water going down, and then it can flow back down again. But anyway, it worked good in theory, but not so much in practical. But you know, you've got to try these things. As you can see, there's going to be soil here once the earthworks gets done, but as you can see, there's still standing water here. So that's good as a swale system, but not in a driveway system or somewhere where you want to drive, because that's going to be a soft surface. It's going to go down into the ground and take a long time to dry up. And as you can see from this side, you can see what it's been doing in between the earthworks that haven't been done yet. So it's been coming down there, coming through here, coming across here, and going down into my drain system and stopping corrosion and putting the water sinking into the ground and actually getting the water into the ground. So I'm pretty happy. I'll do a little bit of a close-up here, but I'll stop talking because I'll end up losing volume when I zoom in. So I'll zoom in and see if we can see some of the water from up here. Okay, as I said, it would be nice if we had that water in the property full time, but unfortunately we don't. But anyway, I know this is a long video, but I really wanted to explain what was going on, so I'll turn the camera over to here so you're looking at something a little bit different while I talk about it. And basically what I want to say is that really, if everyone had some sort of system that we could put into the ground, and a swale system of some sort that could soak some of that water into the ground, we wouldn't have everyone having drains, and we wouldn't have such a big problem that we've got going on over there. At the moment our tank is full, and most likely everyone else's tanks are full, so they're also getting all the water that's coming off people's roofs because their storage system's full and draining straight into that system without having a swale system. And I'm guilty, I haven't finished yet, but once I get my big swale system down the back, I want to try to stop any water going down to the creek, and soak it into the ground, into my ground, and then hopefully in return I will have a high water table, springs pop up, and I'll have a hydrated ground in between really dry spots. So that's the plan, and it's working. A year in the making. If you just want to have a bit of a look at some of my follow-up, my last videos, there's probably 152 videos or more now. Some of the early ones probably not even worth watching, a bit silly, but I had the phone the wrong way around, and but there is some good footage there of the aquaponics and the way the garden used to look, that's for sure. And the last 12 months where I've been concentrating on soaking water, growing food, fruit trees especially. And it's going to be a couple of years before I get heaps of fruit off everything, but I'm pretty happy with how everything's going. So basically, if you can sink water, just do it. It's not going to hurt anything, as long as it's obviously not where you want to drive your car or right next to your house where it's going to affect footings and things like that. But if you can sink water in your backyard somewhere it's out of the way, build a mound, get the water into there, it's not going into the drain, it's not affecting river systems, and feeding your plant. Anyway, I'll leave the video at this, and I'll say goodbye until next time, and hopefully I'll have another video out in a few days or a week or so about the excavation work that I'm doing up there. That you can see from the last video was meant to be a whole video, but it ended up being going to be in 2 parts with a couple of videos in between. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Thank you.